Hey guys, welcome back to the MCU HQ. I just had a really fun idea. I find myself browsing the Marvel subreddit quite a lot. There are some insightful posts on there, some thought-provoking posts, and a lot of posts that make me want to slam my head into a brick wall. But I thought it might be fun to go through some of these and just, talk about some stuff I see on here and what different people are posting. So I did briefly scroll through a couple of these just as I was prepping the video to see if it was actually worth making a video on, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I do know what some of these posts are. I haven't read the descriptions, but I've read the titles of these. So I have the Marvel subreddit here. I'm not sure how long I'll do this for, but I'll do it for a few minutes or until I run out of cool stuff to talk about. Oh, and I'm going to censor the name of who posted it because I feel like I should do that. Despite its flaws, Thor: Love and Thunder had one of the best finales of any Marvel film. Okay. Let's see. We gotta read this one. So the movie has pacing issues, but despite the complaints, this was still one of the better Marvel movies we've had. Hard disagree on that. Which is most clear in the finale, and based on early reviews, this seems to be the most misunderstood Marvel movie thus far. Okay, I don't think it's that it's misunderstood. It's not an issue of people not understanding. There's plenty of movies that are bad mainly because people don't really understand what they're going for. Taika's movies are a great example of that. I feel like Jojo Rabbit's a misunderstood movie. I don't think Love and Thunder is misunderstood. It's misunderstood perfectly. Or it's understood perfectly. The issues and a lot of people feel are very surface level. The best point against the movie has been that it continues ignoring Thor's quite serious trauma, at least doesn't do it extensively, but otherwise so many complaints seem to miss perfectly communicated explanations. But besides that point, let's just focus on the well-executed finale here. Okay. We see Thor finally act in a way befitting a god in a really wholesome boss fight. The callback to his own father, a moment that might represent one of the first times we actually see Thor do something that paints him as a leader king. When he shares his power, we see him lead other times, but rarely do we see him showing qualities of a leader. I am going to disagree with that, okay? He shows the qualities of a leader so many times. Going back to the first Thor movie when he faces off against the Destroyer and he doesn't blame Loki for anything, he blames himself. Ragnarok when, he becomes king and he's here for all these people. Then, in Endgame he stumbled, but he has shown so many qualities of a leader before. Has the morally reasonable villain we loved with Thanos, with the sword used as a device to explain the villainous behavior. It has well-acted and timed motive changes as the sword's influence takes a few important moments to clear from the villain's mind to create the necessary tension for an unpredictable ending. I can agree with that. We get a conclusion that isn't just and the superhero beat the villain or the villain caused his own downfall, one whereby Thor is able to express his development and the principles that define him. My God, I was so happy with that change to the hero beats villain formula. I agree with that paragraph so much. I love when they do this. This is something they did in Doctor Strange also. They did it here where they find a way to defeat the villain that's more than just beating him up and defeating him in combat, and they found a nice way to subvert the expectations of it in Love and Thunder. I agree with that bit of this post wholeheartedly. We get one of the very few character deaths and true consequences in the Marvel series, and a very satisfying death at that, which brings honor and meaning to the character in question, validating their love in a way the first movies never did, and showing she was truly worthy, though there's an incantation to explain that too. See, I'm going to argue against the truly worthy part, purely because Thor put a spell on the hammer. Jane, I think she did earn it, but, yeah, you can make an argument that she wasn't actually worthy. And though this is not exactly the finale and isn't as well executed, we get an ending that still has an upside. People still want to leave these movies feeling happy, with the main and perhaps only true issue being that they didn't give Thor enough time to grieve before showing the result. Seriously, whilst the hints and body language were there already for an attentive watcher, just another scene to emphasize how utterly broken Thor is needed for most people. Not sure what that's saying. Then the slow realization that this was Jane's dying wish and that Thor would dedicate his entire life to this girl because of his love for Jane. No happy father-daughter ending, just an acknowledgement of the solemn dedication to raising this girl he just met and indicating the future. It was so close to being an ending I could praise publicly without backlash. Anyway, the movie's getting blasted for what was mostly undeserved. Again, that's not really true because I could name off so many deserved criticisms. Granted, the ending I can't criticize. I did really like the ending. Most Marvel movies don't have nearly the level of fun, emotion, interesting ideas that Thor: Love and Thunder brought. It has flaws, it's not perfect, but it's a good Marvel movie for anyone who judges it in context, and I just wanted to put that out there somehow. Okay. Yeah, like I said, there's certain aspects here that the movie's not misunderstood. It has very fair criticisms, but I do agree with this. I think the finale was good, and that bit about finding a way to beat the villain beyond just physically beating him, very insightful. I like that. All right, let's go back here. So we're good. We're in a good post so far. I'm waiting until we get to something controversial. That'll be gnarly. Something really bothers me about the post-Thanos universe. Okay? I find it very odd that tragic events that took place in the MCU are given lighthearted nods in more recent shows and movies. In Ms. Marvel at AvengerCon, there's someone dressed up as Loki. Yeah, we the viewers like Loki, but in their universe they should not like him at all. He terrorized New York, killed lots of people. No one at AvengerCon was giving that guy the suspicious side-eye. And the Infinity Cones in Thor: Love and Thunder? Yeah, I don't like that joke at all. Why immortalize the gauntlet that was responsible for the decimation of the Asgardian population? Not just the Asgardian population, but the killing half of the universe off. I don't think that was a good joke. Where was I? It would have made sense to make it Tony's version of the gauntlet, but why the one that belonged to Thanos? Yep. I just feel like these things are supposed to have lasting effects on people in the MCU are used as jokes. The people should be traumatized, sensitive at least, but nope. Lol, big Infinity Stone gauntlet holding ice cream cone. Alright, I'm going to read some of the comments on this one to see what people are saying about this. It sometimes feels like Ultron's attack on Sokovia had more of a lasting effect and impact on the MCU world than the snap did. That's true. I have a feeling the writers thought about it and realized that any semi-realistic portrayal of the snap and unsnap would end up being incredibly dark and depressing, so they're leaning pretty hard into the stones magically made everything go back to normal. MCU fans are becoming like Star Wars. Do I want to get into that right now? I'm going to get into it right now. MCU fans are becoming like Star Wars fans, and that's a bad thing. The bigger the franchise, the more people apply an insane standard of quality that said franchise never really earned outside of just being popular. That is not true at all, and I'll get into that in a minute. I love these movies and almost consistently enjoy watching them, but nowadays it seems that people just nitpick and complain about every single minor little thing. These are movies with the main purpose to entertain, and while I think legitimate criticism is both valid and crucial to helping the industry improve, I also think people should take a look at the films that came before and apply the same standard they have now and see if what they idolize has really held up. There are some good points in here, I will say, but here's the thing, right? The more people apply an insane standard of quality that said franchise never really earned outside of just being popular. That's not a true statement for just the basis that this franchise only exists because they made one of the greatest superhero films of all time. It's thought-provoking, it's meaningful, it's got great character and heart and drama and emotion behind it. It is the same concept with Star Wars. Now, Star Wars fans are much worse than Marvel fans, but Star Wars fans are well, this sucked. And everyone's like, it's Star Wars. What do you expect? Well, I mean, this is the franchise with the goddamn Empire Strikes Back, which is one of the greatest films ever made. So, yeah, when your standard is that high, when something's not good, it's really not good. And it's kind of the same thing with Marvel. When they make so many good movies, to see something that feels like a self-parody, like Thor does, yeah, of course no one's going to be happy about that. That's my take on that post. I don't think that post is really paying attention to a lot of stuff. Did you guys notice this while watching the movie? I noticed that Chris Hemsworth's whole family was in Love and Thunder, except Liam, his brother. Chris is Thor. Luke Hemsworth is his brother. Thor is Thor in the play. That's his brother. India Hemsworth is Gore's daughter. Tristan Hemsworth is Kid Thor in the beginning when Thor tells the story. Elsa Pataki was the Wolf Woman. You know what's weird? I kind of recognize that. Sasha Hemsworth was the blonde kid fighting against Gore in the final battle. Maybe it was obvious, but I feel kind of proud to have noticed it. Natalie Portman's kids were in the movie as well, and Taika's kids were somewhere in there. Okay, see? So, I said in my Captain Marvel rant, I said I think the movie fails as a film, right, on almost every level, but I did touch on the fact that there is a very clear demographic the movie's made for, and I'm very proud they have a superhero they can look up to, and it's changed their life a lot. And this is the example of that. You know, Brie Larson at Avengers Campus with a girl dressed as Captain Marvel, clearly an inspiration. That's awesome. Great for her. Don't feel that way about the movie, though. Oh, here's one. This one we gotta read the comments on that, not the actual post. It's been 1 year of Black Widow being released. What are your overall thoughts on the film? What are your pros and cons? Let me pull up the comments. Pros. Glad to see Black Widow finally got a solo film. Scarlett Johansson in particular deserved it. Florence Pugh was good as Yelena. Yep. Cons. Not only was it too late, it came after the character died, making the film feel somewhat unnecessary. There is a way to do that, but I don't think they executed as well as they wanted to. Didn't like the change to Taskmaster's origin. Film was ultimately just okay. No urge to see it again. You know what's funny? Is I often find myself wanting to rewatch Black Widow, even though I'm not the biggest fan of it, because it's just, it's a fun enough action movie. Pretty much, yeah, overall a good MCU installment, but felt like it could have been more, especially on Taskmaster point. Books to movies, small changes are often necessary, but that one in particular really grinds my gears. No clouds equals Red Room being found within 10 seconds. The Red Room's a big plot hole. Pros, Yelena. Cons, not enough Yelena. Also, where does Nat get off telling Yelena they can't steal a car when she stole a dude's truck back in Winter Soldier with Captain America? Yeah, that's true. Valid criticism isn't hating. Alright, this has a lot of upvotes. Let's read this. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, it shows that you love the product in question to such an extent that you want it to be as good as possible. Love and Thunder has triggered a lot of infighting within the two subs, with people complaining about how they used to be places where you could celebrate the MCU. That's still possible, but it's also okay to acknowledge that many parts of Phase 4 have been subpar. 3 of the last 4 movies have received B+ scores on CinemaScore and Audience Platform. That's a fact. Opinions are subjective, but Love and Thunder Eternals and Multiverse of Madness polarizing audiences is a fact. I personally believe that something has been off with Phase 4 for a while now, and I actually liked Eternals, though conversely I dislike No Way Home, but that's not really my point, and it certainly isn't deniable that it was an incredible success, but I don't derive pleasure from acknowledging this. I bring it up because I want the MCU to be better. So there you have it. Criticism can be a very good thing, and for the most part it is. It would be naive to deny that anything is flawless, much less Love and Thunder or Phase 4 as a whole. So this is actually something that I was thinking about the other day. I was thinking about Phase 4 so far, and how a large amount of it has actually been somewhat disappointing. And this year especially, we've gotten 2 movies and 2 shows this year. Miss Marvel has lost its way, and I'm starting to kind of lose interest in it. And Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder were both kind of disappointing. So I do agree with this. You know, valid criticism isn't hating, especially when you want something to be better. To go back to that other post about Star Wars, it's the same thing there, right? I want something to be better. I'm going to talk about the negatives of it because I love the franchise. I want it to be better. I want them to succeed. So make your voice heard in that way. Shower thought from Thor 4 and Doctor Strange 2. Spoilers for both movies. Seems like Wanda went through a lot of trouble to get her kids from a whole other universe and corrupting her soul from the Darkhold in the process. If only she knew how easy it would be for her to hitch a ride with fellow Avenger Thor to the center of the universe and wish them into existence, seemingly at no cost. Hell, maybe she could have thrown Pietro and Vision on there too for a complete family set. I actually have 2 things to say about this. First off, this is insightful, and Eternity does open a whole batch of questions. Why didn't Thanos just get a weapon to take him to Eternity? But I will say the flip side to this, Wanda was not in a good mental state. So she saw what she was doing as the only way to achieve her goals. Okay, this is just titled Phase 4. After watching Love and Thunder last night and watching Michael Roman from Everything Always and his review where he called it a comic book fan's comic book movie, I was reflecting on this earlier, and I feel like Phase 4 has put the comic book back into comic book movies. That's true. That is very true. If you go back through Phase 4, it feels very comic booky. It feels like most Phase 4 movies have a pacing problem. The weird pacing stuck out in Shang-Chi and has continued to be a theme. The worst offender is Multiverse of Madness. Even accounting for where they left Wanda in WandaVision, post-credit scene, much less the end of the episode, is still incredibly jarring to have a pure evil Wanda 10 minutes of screen time later. I do think the first 15 minutes of Multiverse of Madness are way too fast. So I do agree there. I think Multiverse of Madness is a very poorly paced movie. Because it's weird because it moves so fast, but also kind of feels slow at points. Like when they first get to 838, they're just lollygagging for a while, and then the first 15 minutes are super quick. To varying degrees, No Way Home, Eternals, and Thor 4 have similar issues. There's a story they want to get without taking proper time to set them up for whatever reason. Okay, No Way Home does not have a pacing problem. I would actually go so far as to say No Way Home might be the best paced movie of the phase. Actually, no, I'm going to say Black Widow is. Black Widow is a very well-paced film for all its issues, but No Way Home is definitely up there. Eternals should have been a movie, or should have been a show, but I don't think there's anything wrong with the pacing of the movie, is there? I don't remember any pacing issues in May films from phases 1 to 3. Maybe I'm just suffering from Marvel fatigue. First comment, I think you forgot how poorly paced some of the phase 1 and phase 2 films were. Second comment, I don't remember pacing issues in May films from phase 1 to 3. They quoted that and they said, I do. The Incredible Hulk was incredibly rushed due to Perlmutter botching the film and editing. Avengers 1 has 20 freaking minutes of repairing a single turbine. That's true. I didn't pay attention to that, but so much of Avengers is Tony just doing that to the turbine. Thor 2 dragged forever. Age of Ultron interrupts its plot to have a bunch of commercials for the next movies. Doctor Strange 1 could have used some more meat. The MCU has never been perfect. Let's stop acting like it was in Phase 4 some sudden downturn. Phase 4 is just as good as 1 or 2, and by that I mean it's 50-50. That's a true comment. Okay, let's do a few more here. My only gripe with the direction of Phase 4 thus far. I miss the interconnectivity of the current projects right now. We just have Thor, Love and Thunder, which delved into the lore of gods, not limited to the Norse gods by any means, but rather inclusive of all the gods that exist in the MCU. I already have a lot of thoughts on this post, but I'm going to save it until I'm done reading. There were funny bits here, but why Moon Knight wasn't present, let alone even referenced, is a missed opportunity. There's an intergalactic madman slaughtering all the gods, which affects the Egyptian gods as well, and they do nothing about it. Gore even came to Earth and nothing. Even a throwaway line from Valkyrie would have sufficed. They teased a lot like Dane Whitman picking up the Black Blade and Mahershala Ali's blade, but do nothing with that. There hasn't been a whole lot of payoff for any of these things, while the first 3 phases constantly referenced other characters and directly had payoff in the next project. I think the issue right now is there's seemingly a lot of setup without any connective material linking them. The shows tease huge things happening between Vision's return, Kang taking over, but the movies don't reference these at all, which creates a rift between content mediums that only further delegitimizes or relegates the shows to a lower tier. Maybe I'm out of touch or alone in my opinion. I just love all the characters and think they all need more interaction. Alright, I'm going to form my opinion. I'm going to read some of the comments on this post. So, first off, I miss the interconnectivity of all the current projects right now. Did any of you watch Phase 1? Or Phase 2? Or even part of Phase 3? Let me tell you what happens, okay, in the first few movies of Phase 3. Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, and Black Panther. None of those connect to each other. Well, except Homecoming connects Civil War. And yes, I know they acknowledge characters and they set stuff up in other movies and they revisit things. But you can't tell me that every movie in Phase 3 pre-Infinity War felt like a sequel to each other. They were all completely different realms of the MCU. That's how it's always been, and then they come in to tie it together. Now, I will say, if we go further down the post, he does have some good, does have some better points here, where we talk about no mention of Moon Knight in Love and Thunder. Now, why Moon Knight wasn't present? Moon Knight wasn't present because he wasn't a god. Why he wasn't referenced is because he wasn't a god. I will say it probably would have been nice to have a couple of the Egyptian gods there, but that point is kind of devalued by the fact that this person seems to think Moon Knight's a god. There's an intergalactic madman slaughtering all the gods, which affects the Egyptian gods as well. They do nothing about it. Okay, yeah. Gordon came to Earth, even a throwaway line for Valkyrie. Dane Whitman picking up the Black Blade and Mahershala Ali's blade, but do nothing with that. Okay, this really pisses me off. This bit upsets me. I hate when people are like, why haven't they done anything with this? It's the same thing of people are still pissed that they haven't paid off Adam Warlock yet. I'm like, yeah, because the movie's not out yet. They haven't paid off Blade because the Blade movie's not out yet. What are they supposed to do? People always complain about the, actually something that is justified that they don't mention here, that I'm surprised they didn't mention, is Tiamat's hand in the middle of the ocean, but I'll get past it. But this blade argument is really dumb. Hasn't been a whole lot of payoff for any of these things. I think the issues are seemingly a lot set without any connected material linking them. This I can kind of agree with. I think part of the reason a lot of people feel like nothing's connected and it's not leading anywhere is because of the sheer number of projects they release every year. If they cut down by half, I don't think anyone would be having these issues. I also feel like that the issue is that we're coming hot off the heels of the Infinity Saga, where they found a way to wrap up everything in Infinity War and Endgame, and so people are expecting that level of connectivity. They're expecting to already have the main villain tease. They're expecting to already, have all this stuff set up. So, like, it seems like a lot of people want to have a new Avengers movie tomorrow. Which is not how it always works. They take the time to build it up. Look at Phase 1. The MCU started in 2008. They didn't do Avengers till 2012. Then they waited 3 more years to do Avengers again. Then 3 more years after that. Because they take those movies of each phase, taking the time to build it up to that big thing. And so the fact that they keep setting stuff up and not paying anything off is no different than what they've done in the other phases. It's been 3 years since the last time all the MCU heroes were assembled. With Phase 4 kind of completed, will there be a chance that the heroes join together again in the near future? Perhaps something that can bring together Sam, Bucky, Shang-Chi, Kate, Yelena, Kamala, the surviving Eternals, Moon Knight, Strange, and Thor. First off, that's not going to be the Avengers team. And second, I actually think we're going to know soon when they're going to assemble again, because I think there's a good chance they'll announce an Avengers thing at Comic-Con, which happens in like a week. But yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to end it there. I might do this once a month because it is kind of fun. I'll see. There's a lot of posts on here that I like going through, so every once in a while I'll just record it and talk about them. A lot of other cool stuff on here too. My favorite posts on here are always the like fan art ones, or the ones where someone just did a list of like comprehensive critic, audience, and sim scores for MCU films. Like, that's cool. That's insightful. That's cool to look at. Stuff like that. Yeah. But I'm on here quite a lot. It's kind of depressing. But there you guys go. Figured I'd look at some of those Reddit posts. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. I do want to do this again. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Also, leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's going to be it. Have a great day, guys.